Sun Is Here by Sun. Coming in at number 25 is Sun Is Here by the Dayton, Ohio funk band Sun. This track brought raw energy, with tight horn arrangements and infectious grooves that defined the Ohio funk scene. Online users call it an energy blast and praise the unity of horns and grooves, describing it as an underground funk staple. The main issue was lack of mainstream exposure and limited promotional support that kept them overshadowed by bigger Ohio acts like Slave and Zapp. By the early 1980s, their momentum had waned and the band faded from the spotlight. Sun Is Here remains a sleeper hit that funk enthusiasts appreciate for its pure, unfiltered energy. This raw Ohio funk sets the stage for our next entry, another overlooked gem, Party Time Man by The Futures. At 24, we have Party Time Man by The Futures, a Philadelphia soul group that brought orchestral romance with a fun twist. This upbeat Philly swing track had the signature gamble huff polish that made Philadelphia soul famous. Users describe the lyrics as charming and call it an underrated party track. The problem was competing against giants like the O'Jays and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes in the crowded Philly soul scene. Without major chart success, The Futures couldn't sustain momentum despite renowned producers backing them. Party Time Man represents the elegant side of Philly soul that families enjoyed at gatherings, a hidden treasure that shows not every great song becomes a household name. Speaking of hidden treasures, our next song faced similar struggles. Hearsay by the Soul Children. Number 23 brings us Hearsay by the Soul Children, a Memphis powerhouse from legendary Stax Records. This gospel funk fire track delivered live energy with raw, gritty soul. Online commentary praises it as a deserved chart topper, though some note the horns sometimes overpower the vocals. The Soul Children specialized in emotionally charged performances featuring John Colbert, Anita Lewis, Shelba Bennett, and Norman West. When Stax Records collapsed in 1975, it marked the beginning of their decline. Without that iconic label support, they couldn't maintain momentum in the competitive music industry. Hearsay represents the tail end of Stax's golden era, a reminder of what Memphis soul could deliver when everything aligned. This Stax sound leads us to another group dealing with label challenges. To Each His Own by Faith, Hope and Charity. At number 22 is To Each His Own by Faith, Hope and Charity, a disco soul bridge that showcased Van McCoy's production genius. The trio of Brenda Hilliard, Zulema Casso, and Albert Bailey delivered harmonies that pop with danceable rhythms. Users call it a disco soul anthem with infectious energy, though some dismiss it as having a one-hit wonder vibe. The challenge was carving out a lasting niche when disco brought a flood of new acts, all competing for the same audience. By the early 1980s, when disco crashed, Faith, Hope and Charity had faded, but To Each His Own captured a moment when disco and soul merged beautifully. The track represents the optimistic, feel-good energy that made disco appealing to families. From disco soul fusion, we move to another unique blend. Start of a Romance by Sky Y. Number 21 features Start of a Romance by Sky Y, romantic funk from the Brooklyn-based band led by producer Randy Muller. This smooth ballad showcased the Dunning sisters' powerful vocals with tight rhythms. Online users praise it as a sleeper in their catalog where ballad strength shines through. Sky Y blended funk, R&B, and disco seamlessly, creating feel-good tracks with broad appeal. As the 1980s progressed, shifting musical trends toward electronic acts and increased competition caused their momentum to fade. Start of a Romance represents the romantic side of late 70s funk, a softer moment that families could enjoy together during quieter times. This romantic vibe continues with our next selection, You and I by Black Ivory. At 20, we have You and I by Black Ivory, a heartfelt track from the trio known for silky harmonies. Users describe it as a slow burn favorite with pure emotion and simple but effective songwriting. Black Ivory, composed of Leroy Burgess, Stuart Bascom, and Russell Patterson, captured romantic soul with elegant melodies that rivaled the Delphonics and Stylistics. The emergence of disco in the late 70s overshadowed their soulful sound, making adaptation difficult. Despite immense talent and critical acclaim, they never achieved widespread fame. You and I showcases the timeless quality of their artistry, a treasure for classic soul fans even if the charts didn't reflect their value. From understated romance, we shift to something more urgent. Leaving Me by The Independents. Number 19 brings Leaving Me by The Independents, a heartbreak soul classic with Curtis Mayfield's backing influence. This Chicago-based group led by Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey delivered emotionally charged lyrics with smooth harmonies that hit deep. Online commentary calls it a timeless tearjerker with rare emotional depth. Their association with Curtom Records, founded by Curtis Mayfield, gave them credibility and top-tier production. Internal struggles and creative differences took a toll, leading to their 1975 disbandment. Jackson and Yancey moved on to successful careers as producers and songwriters. Leaving Me represents the brief but impactful period when the Independents created timeless love songs before personal conflicts ended their run. This emotional intensity carries into our next entry, The Sweeter He Is by the Soul Children. At 18 is The Sweeter He Is by the Soul Children, gritty stacked soul with raw power. This duet delivered magic that feels alive with emotional charge. Users praise it as an underrated gem from the post-Otis Redding era that showcases pure Memphis soul. The group's rich harmonies and ability to convey deep feeling resonated with listeners seeking authentic emotion. The collapse of Stax Records in 1975 left them without the institutional support that had made them successful. The Sweeter He Is stands as one of the most talented yet underappreciated performances from the Stax catalog. The track represents the tail end of an era when Southern soul dominated R&B. From Memphis, we head to the Midwest. Watching You by Slave. Number 17 features Watching You by Slave, a deep cut from the Dayton Funk Masters. This track has a creepy vibe in the best way, with a haunting synth intro that users say sticks with them. The paranoia in the lyrics adds an edge that true fans appreciate, though some consider it lesser compared to their hits. Watching You showcases Slave's ability to create mood and atmosphere beyond just dance grooves. The band combined deep grooves, punchy horns, and Mark Adams' innovative bass, playing with Steve Arrington's soulful vocals. Internal conflicts and management issues led to lineup changes that affected cohesion. Despite struggles, this B-side demonstrates the depth of Slave's catalog beyond obvious party tracks. Speaking of party tracks, our next song brought major energy. Do It Till You're Satisfied by BT Express. At 16 we have Do It Till You're Satisfied by Brooklyn Trucking Express, a disco funk banger with endless replay value. This house party essential featured killer horns that got everyone moving. Users call it a party starter, though some dismiss it as overplayed 70s cheese. BT Express combined funky rhythms with catchy melodies and smooth vocal harmonies perfectly. They faced stiff competition from Parliament Funkadelic and Kool and the Gang, which overshadowed their achievements. Follow-up singles like Express and Peace Pipe cemented their reputation. As disco's popularity waned in the late 1970s, BT Express struggled to maintain momentum. Do It Till You're Satisfied remains a beloved classic that defined an era of high-energy dance music. This disco-funk hybrid leads to another crossover hit, Dazz by Brick. Number 15 brings Dazz by Brick, the Atlanta band that created their own genre name combining disco and jazz. This 1976 chart climber became a massive success with its infectious groove and innovative fusion. Online users call it a guilty pleasure with a disco-jazz mashup that's genius, though some consider it a novelty hit. The song captured mid-70s musical experimentation when genre boundaries were fluid. Brick carved out a unique niche by blending jazz sensibility with funk grooves. Despite initial success, Brick struggled to replicate this massive impact as trends shifted. Follow-up hits like Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody showcased their talent, but couldn't match the cultural moment. Dazz represents creative risk-taking that paid off commercially, leaving a lasting legacy. From innovation, we move to timeless emotion. Natural High by Bloodstone. At 14 is Natural High by Bloodstone, a soul rock hybrid from Kansas City that became a timeless classic. This heartfelt ballad with smooth harmonies is praised as a wedding slow jam classic with lyrics that hit deep. Users describe it as mellow but memorable soul rock perfection. Bloodstone brought a unique blend of soul, funk, and rock to the 1970s scene. Their ability to incorporate rock elements into soulful sound showcased versatility and creativity. By the 80s, their prominence faded with changing trends, but Natural High endured. The song represents seamless genre blending that families could appreciate across generations, a true crossover moment. This crossover appeal continues with our next pick, Ooh Child by the Five Stairsteps. Number 13 features OOH Child by the Five Stairsteps, the ultimate feel-good soul anthem. This Chicago family group of siblings, Clarence, James, Aloha, Kenneth, and Dennis Burke, created a timeless message that users say still gives chills. The heartfelt lyrics and smooth harmonies place them among the era's most promising young acts. Some note it's overexposed from appearing in countless movies, but that speaks to its universal appeal. Their attempt to evolve by rebranding as the Invisible Man's Band in the 1980s with tracks like All Night Thing failed to replicate earlier success. OOH Child remains their defining moment, a song that transcends its era with a simple yet powerful message of optimism that never feels dated. From family groups, we turn to sibling harmonies. Nights Over Egypt by the Jones Girls. At 12, we have Nights Over Egypt by the Jones Girls, a romantic epic from the talented trio of sisters. This sophisticated Philly soul track featured an underrated flute solo that users call Chef's Kiss. The impeccable vocal chemistry between Shirley, Brenda, and Valerie Jones created magic, though some found it too slow for dancing. Under Gamble and Huff's guidance on Philadelphia International Records, they blended sophistication with emotional depth. The synth-heavy production of the 1980s made adaptation difficult. Nights Over Egypt showcases their ability to create lush, atmospheric R&B perfect for intimate moments. Their music remained influential with many songs sampled by contemporary artists. This sophisticated sound transitions to something more urgent. Slide by Slave. Number 11 brings Slide by Slave, a funk anthem that became their breakout hit and remains a dance floor staple to this day. Mark Adams's bass line from Hell or Heaven, depending on your perspective, makes this essential for any funk playlist according to devoted fans. Online users say it got them moving at every house party in the 70s, and still does today whenever a DJ drops it. The infectious energy and Amash danceability combined with punchy horns made it absolutely irresistible to anyone with working legs and a pulse. Steve Arrington's soulful vocals added another layer to the already impressive instrumental foundation that the band created. Some call it overhyped compared to other funk classics, but admit the horns save it and make it memorable. Despite their success with this massive hit, Slave faced significant internal conflicts, including disagreements over creative direction and management issues that plagued many successful groups. These tensions eventually led to multiple lineup changes, which affected the group's cohesion and ability to maintain longevity in a competitive industry. By the late 1980s, the original essence of Slave had dissolved, and the band officially disbanded, though their influence continued through samples and tributes. Slide represents Slave at their absolute peak, delivering deep grooves that defined Dayton funk before internal tensions pulled them apart prematurely. The track remains a testament to what Ohio funk could achieve when everything clicked. From Dayton, we head to Detroit for smooth soul perfection. In the Rain by the Dramatics. At number 10 is In the Rain by the Dramatics, pure Detroit soul therapy with Wheezy's unforgettable falsetto that cuts straight to the emotional core. Users say this song saved their breakup playlists and remains the perfect soundtrack for heartbreak, calling it emotional without being sappy or manipulative. The smooth harmonies and emotionally charged ballad resonated deeply with fans who needed music that understood their pain during difficult times. Some found it overproduced for their taste, but the hook proved sticky enough to become an absolute classic that defined Detroit soul. The Dramatics were a Detroit-based R&B and soul group that delivered a string of chart-topping hits during the 1970s with consistency. Their blend of heartfelt lyrics and polished vocal arrangements resonated deeply with fans seeking authentic emotional expression, earning them a dedicated following nationwide. The group faced significant challenges over the years, including frequent lineup changes and shifting industry dynamics that made sustained success difficult. These disruptions made it difficult for the Dramatics to maintain the consistency needed for long-term success, despite their obvious talent and hit-making ability. In the Rain showcases the Dramatics at their best, delivering what Detroit soul could do when combining technical skill with genuine emotion. The track remains a favorite among classic soul fans who appreciate timeless melodies that never lose their power. This emotional depth leads to sophisticated fusion that blended multiple genres seamlessly. Always There by Side Effect. Number 9 features Always There by Side Effect, a smooth jazz-funk blend that Incognito later sampled, bringing it to a new generation of listeners. Users praise lead vocalist Augie Johnson's velvet voice that glides over the instrumentation and note the horns steal the show with their arrangements. This Los Angeles-based group brought socially conscious lyrics with tight vocal harmonies and funky grooves that set them apart from more commercial acts. The song represents Side Effect's unique edge blending funk, jazz, and R&B in ways that showcased musical sophistication beyond typical radio fare. Side Effect emerged in the mid-1970s with a sound that combined thought-provoking lyrics with musical excellence that demanded active listening. Tracks like Keep That Same Old Feeling demonstrated their ability to create music with both groove and substance that worked on multiple levels. Lack of substantial commercial backing combined with fierce competition from better promoted acts kept them from achieving the mainstream success their talent deserved. The crowded music scene made it difficult for them to gain widespread recognition despite creativity and critical acclaim from music journalists. Always There has been rediscovered over the years as an underrated gem, appreciated for its artistry and depth by funk and soul enthusiasts. The track proves that commercial success doesn't always match artistic merit or long-term influence. This sophisticated approach continues with our next selection that created dreamlike atmospheres. Fantasy by Aquarian Dream. At 8, we have Fantasy by Aquarian Dream, a lush jazz-funk dreamscape created under Norman Connor's guidance. Users call it perfect for sunset, with floating vocals and layered brilliance. This late 70s fusion band crafted intricate jazz compositions with funk energy that rare groove hunters treasure. The band's music blended sophisticated jazz arrangements with funk groove in ways requiring multiple listens. Tracks like You're a Star showcase their talent for complex arrangements with compelling rhythms. Limited label support and the crowded music landscape hindered their ability to reach wider audiences. Despite artistic brilliance and critical acclaim, Aquarian Dream struggled to gain exposure. Their career was short-lived, leaving fans yearning for more. Fantasy represents the sophisticated side of jazz-funk fusion. From atmospheric jazz, we shift to raw funk. Firecracker by Mass Production. Number 7 brings Firecracker by Mass Production, an instant anthem from Norfolk, Virginia. The funky bass line makes users call it a dance floor igniter that's eternal. This party-starting track brought tight grooves and dynamic instrumentation with infectious rhythm. Some see it as a P-Funk rival that got slept on. Mass Production was a funk collective that combined party energy with musical sophistication. The song's success brought recognition, and they followed with tracks like Cosmic Lust and Shantae. Limited promotional support and disco's rise overshadowed their contributions against Parliament Funkadelic and Earth, Wind & Fire. By the mid-1980s, the band had faded. Firecracker remains a staple for vintage dance music fans, representing high-energy funk that lit up late 70s dance floors. This party energy leads to a sophisticated breakthrough. Bra by Simanda. At 6 is Bra by Simanda, an Afro-funk fusion masterpiece from the British-American band with Caribbean influences. The hypnotic percussion layers earn praise for being sampled everywhere, though users say the original slaps harder. This multicultural group blended funk, reggae, soul, and jazz with rhythms from various traditions. Some find the title weird, but call the track a killer underground king. Simandé carved out a unique niche in the early 1970s, with a sound that resonated with audiences seeking something fresh. Their multicultural lineup brought rich diversity, making them stand out. Despite artistic success and critical acclaim, they faced challenges maintaining commercial momentum. Changing trends and industry pressures led to their 1974 disbandment. Bra showcases Simandé's pioneering approach that influenced De La Soul and the Fugees. For multicultural fusion, we turn to Philly soul excellence. You're Gonna Make Me Love Somebody Else by the Jones Girls. Number 5 features You're Gonna Make Me Love Somebody Else by the Jones Girls, Philly soul gold that melts with perfect harmonies. Users note it's been sampled by everyone, but the original remains superior. The trio's tight vocal chemistry and sophisticated sound under Gamble and Huff's production made them standouts. Some find the lyrics cheesy, but admit the hooks last forever. Rising synth-heavy production in the 1980s made adaptation difficult. This track represents the Jones Girls at their commercial and artistic peak, delivering emotional depth with impeccable vocal arrangements that defined late 70s Philly soul. The song showcased their ability to blend sophistication with accessibility. Despite industry challenges, their music remained influential. This polished sound contrasts with our next entry's raw edge. Call Me by Sky Y. At 4, we have Call Me by Sky Y, a disco R&B anthem where the Dunning sisters absolutely slay with powerful vocals that command attention. Online users call it an 80s precursor, with hooks everywhere that dominated dance floors and still gets played at parties today. Randy Muller's production combined catchy melodies with tight rhythms and powerful vocals perfectly, creating a track that worked in multiple contexts. Some say it's overplayed but iconic, speaking to its staying power and universal appeal across different audiences and generations. Sky Y brought infectious energy and a unique blend of funk, R&B, and disco to the late 1970s and early 1980s music scene. The Brooklyn-based band achieved achieved widespread acclaim with this signature hit that created a timeless anthem families played constantly. Their sound showcased the sisters' vocal prowess, alongside sophisticated arrangements that elevated the material above typical disco fare. Momentum waned as the 1980s progressed, with increased competition from emerging electronic acts and synthpop that changed the musical landscape completely. Call Me represents the vibrant energy of late 70s disco funk that became a timeless anthem families couldn't resist at cookouts and parties. The track bridges the gap between 70s funk and 80s R&B, showing how the sound evolved. From Brooklyn, we head to the Brothers California sound perfected under Quincy Jones. I'll Be Good to You by the Brothers Johnson. Number 3 brings I'll Be Good to You by the Brothers Johnson, smooth R&B perfection, with Quincy Jones's magic touch evident in every arrangement choice. Users praise the harmonies hitting different on vinyl with a warmth that digital formats can't quite capture, and called George's ad-libs soulful as hell. The bass line slaps even for listeners who find the overall track too mellow for their usual taste in funk and R&B. George's impeccable guitar work and Lewis's groundbreaking bass lines combined with infectious grooves under Quincy's legendary production created something special. The Brothers Johnson were a sibling duo that became a powerhouse in the late 1970s, delivering a string of hits that defined the era's funk and R&B sound. Under Quincy Jones's production, they achieved massive success that made them favorites among fans and musicians who studied their techniques. Sibling rivalries and creative differences began to take a toll on the group, leading to tensions that eventually caused their mid-1980s decline. While both pursued solo careers after the split, neither achieved the same level of success they had enjoyed together as a unit. I'll Be Good to You showcases the brothers' ability to create sophisticated R&B that families played on repeat, perfect for any occasion from romantic dinners to Sunday afternoons. The track represents the pinnacle of late 70s production meeting exceptional musicianship. This sophistication builds to pure funk mastery on our next entry. Stomp by the Brothers Johnson. At number 2 is Stomp by the Brothers Johnson, featuring an unbeatable groove perfect for workouts that still gets used in fitness classes today. Louis Johnson's bass provides an absolute masterclass in slap technique that bass players still study frame by frame in videos. Some wish they had leaned more into funk without the pop sheen that made it radio-friendly, and others laugh at the cheesy video outfits that date the visual presentation. This total party starter became a prom song for countless fans and remains a wedding reception staple decades later. The music combined infectious grooves with technical excellence that worked on dance floors while impressing musicians with its sophistication. Despite tensions between the brothers over creative direction and business matters, their combined talent created massive hits that defined late 70s funk and R&B. Stomp represents the brothers at their commercial peak, delivering accessible funk that brought families together on dance floors across America and beyond. The track shows how funk could cross over to pop audiences without losing its essential groove and soul. George's guitar work shines throughout, while Lewis's bass holds everything together with precision and power. And now, we arrive at number 1, the song that embodies everything special about 1970s black music. Strawberry Letter 23 by the Brothers Johnson. Taking the top spot is Strawberry Letter 23 by the Brothers Johnson, pure psychedelic funk magic. Users call George's guitar licks chill-inducing and praise it as a timeless gem that Shuggie Otis basically gifted them. The wah-wah guitar and bass make it feel like summer 1977 all over again. Some call it overplayed, but admit Quincy Jones's production is flawless. Originally written and recorded by Shuggie Otis in 1971, the Brothers Johnson's version became the definitive take. The track showcases everything that made Quincy Jones legendary: impeccable arrangement choices, perfect instrumental balance, and understanding of how to make complex music accessible. This represents everything that made 70s funk special: innovation, experimentation, groove, melody, and production excellence all coming together. The psychedelic elements blend seamlessly with funk foundations, creating something that worked for casual listeners and serious music heads. Strawberry Letter 23 wasn't just played every day in black families during the 1970s, it became a cultural touchstone that transcended its era. The song earned the number 1 spot through its perfect blend of psychedelic experimentation and accessible funk that brought generations together, remaining the ultimate example of how black music in the 1970s could be both artistically ambitious and commercially successful, innovative yet familiar, complex yet instantly memorable. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.